So when you hear the phrase men's health, what do you think of?
The first thing that I think of when it comes to men's health is it's not any particular like diagnoses that comes to mind initially. What comes to mind for me is the fact that it's very hard for men to speak about. A lot of guys aren't willing to talk about what's going on with them, especially like their like reproductive system or their mental health or things like that, because a lot of people kind of see expression of emotion as like a sign of weakness, and this kind of goes back to your first question of like, what does it mean to be a man? Well, the knee-jerk reaction is to be the rock, to be the provider, and to be strong and all that stuff. And when it comes to men's health, you're generally talking about some sort of sickness or something that is deemed as a weakness.
Yeah.
And so I think that men will usually keep these things to themselves. Like my knee is cooked, it hurts all the time, but you don't see me whinging about it. Yeah. Should I go to get it checked out? Likely. But do I? Yeah. No, you just kind of deal with it. And I think that men are more likely to kind of keep their own injuries or illnesses to themselves and not really act on it. And so that's definitely the first thing that comes to my mind, is that kind of hard place that men get put into when it comes to their health.
Do you think that there's a link between men not wanting to express their emotions and wanting not to be like an emotional burden on someone else? Because it's not very a foundational stance to be if you yourself are unstable.
Right. There absolutely is a link. I mean, if you look beyond humans and beyond humans in general, look to the entire rest of the world and the animal kingdom. Whenever there's an instance, usually in mammals, where there's supposed to be an alpha male, if he ever becomes sick, if he ever becomes injured, he's fucked. He's gone. Like he either gets taken over, he gets cast out of the society, he gets cast out of the group, he loses his ranks, or he gets literally killed and taken over. And so, I know that that's a little bit of it's kind of pushing the envelope, but there definitely is a parallel, and human beings, despite whether we like to admit it or not, are mammals. We are animals, and we belong to the animal kingdom, and so we have these things deeply entrenched in our blood.
Yeah.
I think that there absolutely is a connection between a man and his health issues, and being that rock, and that's why people don't speak up when they're having these issues. I think it absolutely is seen as a sign of weakness, and I don't think people really, I think if you ask the average person, they'll say, oh no, it's not a weakness, they just need to take care of themselves, but there's something deeper, like entrenched inside of our evolution, that even though we say that's the nice thing to say, but that's not what people actually think.
What's your experience with issues faced by men's health, prostate, testicular, men's health, that short side?
Well, both of us share a common friend, and his father is affected by prostate cancer. So that's one person that within 1 to 2 circles away from myself that is affected by prostate cancer. Another one of Ellie's friends, her father is affected by prostate cancer as well. I have a mate at work who has had 3 men in his family die from prostate cancer. I don't actually in my immediate family or extended family have any deaths or anything like that from prostate cancer specifically, or testicular cancer, that I know of. Because again, I don't think that my uncle and several of my uncles are very alpha, and even if they were having an issue, I think I would never hear about it. I don't think anyone outside of their immediate family would ever hear about it. And I think that there's someone else that both of us know that's affected by that as well, and he's kept it very hush-hush and hasn't want to talk about it and everything like that. Yeah, I think that even if people don't think they have friends or family members that are affected by prostate cancer, because we're talking about Movember, so that's why I'm using that as an example. But things to do with men's health issues, people may not think that it's around them, but I reckon it truly is, and that it's just kept to themselves and kept private.
Is there one that's more concerning for you, like out of the prostate, testicular, or men's suicide?
What's more concerning for me?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they're all equally concerning for me. I definitely don't. What's the statistic? women attempt suicide more than men, but men commit suicide more than women.
I do know that there are 30 attempted suicides per one successful, but I'm not too sure like the split between them.
Yeah, I've heard a couple times that men are less likely to attempt and are more likely to follow through with it.
Yeah.
They may not have the outlet to express their emotions. They may be ashamed of their emotions, or they may not know how to express their emotions. And so that whole like cry out for help stage happens internally, and then they've reached the point where they're no longer trying to find help, and then they actually end up doing it. So I mean, like, what I'm getting at here is that I think that men's suicide is definitely is very concerning, and I think that there needs to be more avenues for men to be able to reach out and communicate and express what they're going through without, taking the heat and, be called a pussy or whatever. And I know that doesn't if someone came out to me and said that they were having a really hard time, I wouldn't be like, yo, harden up, pussy, put some cement in your coffee and harden up. I wouldn't say that. It is hard for dudes to talk to each other. It's just not something that guys really talk about. And then, I mean, each one of them will kill you. So I don't think that testicular cancer or prostate cancer or men's suicide and mental health, I don't think that one needs to be put on a pedestal above the other. I think it would be interesting to recognize the numbers that are involved, specifically for men, and which one takes more lives and whatever, and then maybe allocate resources that way, allocate it appropriately. If there's 50% more men die from prostate cancer than they do testicular cancer, well then it makes sense that more funding goes to prostate cancer. But that would be the only way that I would dictate that.
If you had to judge the biggest issue for men moving forwards, health-wise or other, what would that
be? The biggest issue for men moving forwards. Again, I don't really think it's any of the symptoms or illnesses or men's health issues. It's not no one issue in particular that's the most important. I think the most important thing for men is to be able to have an availability to, or what am I trying to say? Have the resources in front of them to be able to communicate. I think that only when guys are able to talk about their own health issues and are able to articulate, the emotions that are going through them and their own insecurities or their own depression or whatever that's going on with whatever is going on in their life. I think that level of communication and having some sort of a medium to communicate with either their physician or their family or their friends, I think that will enable more prevention than almost anything else, just because then if guys are able to communicate about their own health issues, maybe they're going to be able to catch their health issues at earlier stages and prevent it from becoming such an issue. With breast cancer and stuff like that, if someone in your family has breast cancer, everyone's shaving their heads, everyone's wearing pink ribbons. You put pink ribbon stickers on your car and stuff like that. At least that's how it is in the States. You can actually get license plates that have the pink ribbon on it, and every time you buy this license plate, then money's donated to breast cancer awareness. And so people have get pink ribbons tattooed on them or whatever. And that just simply doesn't happen for men's health issues. And so I think that's just the awareness of it, and it's sort of taboo, so I think it's not spoken about.
I mean, talking about the differences between men and women, maybe.
I think that just by doing what we're doing right now makes a difference. Having this dopey mustache on my face for a solid month, and it's gonna get bushy and it's gonna look a bit shit. But I'm gonna be bringing up men's health, and I'm gonna be talking about Movember with people at work, with you. It's my partner is having to look at it. She definitely doesn't like this, but that doesn't really it. It's about something that's a little bit deeper and more important than that. So I think that when you talk about should there be an outreach program, or should there be what kind of? I think that when you talk about should there be an outreach program, or should there be what kind of funding can we do? I mean, this is essentially what happened with breast cancer awareness. Is that it started off with like pink ribbons. They did some marches. So I don't know if they do this in Australia, but in the States there's like Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and even in like the NFL and the NBA, all of the players or select players will wear pink cleats. Their treads will be all pink. They'll have like pink rings around their jerseys or whatever, like a pink ribbon on their jersey. And I think that that's definitely something that should be utilized as sporting events and sports in general, because I mean, listen, everybody loves tits and we want to save them, right? But like, we can also utilize these men who are on the television and be utilizing them for, you know, maybe their own sexual health, because I think it'd be an amazing statistic to see how many professional athletes are affected by this. And so I think that that's a good way that we could start, you know, promoting that.
So instead of like taking my approach, which is how do you find a way around the issue? Maybe it's just like
butt it head on. Just butt it head on.
That's quite a manly way to go about it.
Well, utilize your strengths more than your weaknesses, I guess. I guess if women are more predisposed to be talking about their emotions and doing that sort of a thing, and that's how they've been making it work for them. One, logical me says, let's just do what the women are doing because it's obviously working for them. Breast cancer raises monumentally more money than prostate cancer does, and so they're doing something right. And then two, just go for it, because at the end of the day, no dude wants to have their nuts cut off, right? And I don't want you to have your nuts cut off. And there's some bloke out there getting his nuts cut off probably today. So
to all the lost nuts,
pour some out for the homies. Or, you know what we could do is, because everyone just loves tits so much and they don't give a shit about balls, we could just take a pen and then draw nipples onto our nuts. Then start taking pictures of the scrot with nipples on them, and everyone will think that they're tits. Just really haggard-looking cancer tits. And sorry, that was terrible. Yeah, that was bad. Or, you know what we could do is, because everyone just loves tits so much and they don't give a shit about balls, we could just take a pen and then draw nipples onto our nuts. Then start taking pictures of the scrot with nipples on them, and everyone will think that they're tits. Just really haggard-looking cancer tits. And sorry, that was terrible. Yeah, that was bad.